What is it about trip sitting? What is a trip, and how can we sustain a really good environment for one who is on a trip, who is maybe on drugs or a spiritual journey, or who is watching Mama's Ashram and enjoys the show. And
Yeah,
I think we can apply lots of stuff out of yoga um, to this in a good environment we can make as a trip sitter. What do you think, Mare?
yeah. So this is going to be a guide for the others to be a good trip sitter, which is aligned with the aspects of yoga or the rules of yoga, the codes of yoga,
Yeah,
yama, niyama,
absolutely.
all of that.
Because a trip, life is a trip, and if we apply these on how we handle people on trips, we can also apply this on our day-to-day life, how we handle people in our environment, in our connections, in everywhere.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. But yeah, but specifically when we are talking about uh trip, like on music or substances or mama's ashram or whatever, I think it really makes sense when yamas and niyamas are aligned. Non-violence. As a trip sitter, it is your sole responsibility to not hurt the tripper, the person on LSD or whatever, right? Because
Absolutely.
yeah, this makes
Yeah.
the most sense to not hurt the tripper.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. You want to have them to have a good trip, you want everybody to have a good, nice day ahead. And I think this where applies the speech and the deeds part as well, you if because whatever you say to the one who's tripping um will affect trip and whatever you do to them as well. So yeah, to have a good deeds and good speech, to be non-violent is a good
yeah,
starting point.
yeah. So tip number one for being a good trip sitter is to not be violent. And for tip number two, I'm skipping straight to the fifth yama, which is brahmacharya, which is really interesting when we're talking about tripping and trip sitting, because brahmacharya talks about transcending sensual pleasures, right? And when you are trip sitting, you don't want the person to just be on surface level, right? You want to talk deep shit and to go deep into awareness, into merging, right,
Yeah,
Malte?
absolutely. I think this applies to day-to-day life again. You what kind of conversations you want to have, what kind of relationships you want to have with people, and this is always the way, I think, to go to have a more fulfilled and spiritual life, and especially on trips, this is the pathway to something deeper. So I think you should fully enjoy and get the best out of these situations when you do something like that. Um, because I think also this is connected to the old shamanic way we see in all the different cultures around the world. It's always to do with the trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you see that these things are also very what is that word? Something that increases something catalyze. These things are catalysts to everything
Yes.
about you, and whatever you're feeling is 100 times, 1,000 times. And the greatest pleasure is to be free of suffering, right? Not pleasure, but the greatest gift. That is the best thing you can give to the other. The the
The one
gift
who's
of
tripping.
yeah, the gift of of the wisdom that leads to non-suffering. So it is your responsibility as a trip sitter to not just talk about pleasure, but go really deep into how the person is flowing and how his psychology is currently working in the trip.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, nice one. Nice tip. And I think uh nice tip for the trip. I think the even the second Yama Satya plays a huge role, when you want to also guide someone into like a more deeper spiritual experience. So for that, the one who's doing the trip and the trip sitter, they have to be really honest with each other. They
Yeah,
have to,
yeah,
and I think communication plays a key role here. And for that, yeah, experience to go deeper, to have maybe, like you said, be also free of the suffering part of life for a short moment at least. Um, we gotta be honest, and we gotta help each other out to get to this point.
yeah, yeah. And if we even consider the niyamas that talk about cleanliness, and santosh, which is contentment, and shauch, which is cleanliness, and so cleanliness makes a lot of sense as well, because again, what you see will have deep impact on creating impressions, because everything is being catalyzed, right? And if you're in the right setting is really important. If you're in a clean place, mentally and physically, you will have a clean trip.
Mm. Yeah, I think yes, a cleaner vision, you could also say it like that, and a cleaner vision for whatever it is you do, in on the trip or in life. Again, it's your wishes or your visions, what you want to do, how you want to be. Also,
uh,
where we have to apply the contentment part, you know, but still, yeah, cleanliness gives you a more clearer vision and trip.
and if you're in an unclean place, this is personal experience. It, Trust me, it is really painful. It turns into a bad trip if you are not in a clean place. Which is why, when you are in the mountains or near the beach or in the nature, your trips are so intense and
Yeah,
profound.
yeah, absolutely, much nicer. Yeah.
And now let's talk about Malte, Swadhyay, and Ishwar Pranidhan, which are the third, fourth, and the fifth niyamas, which I am
Mm.
eagerly waiting to talk about.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Go.
Swadhyay is self study.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
remember.
self study while you're tripping is making sense. Perfect. But
Absolutely.
as a trip sitter, do you think
Now
you
it's
must
getting
study
interesting.
the trip sitter must study the trip sitter while also studying the tripper? Because you must study the tripper to take care of him. It is all right. But how do you study yourself while you are trip sitting?
Beautiful. Yeah, I don't think you got to do it in the same moment. You can reflect on it, and then you can have your self study. But absolutely, this is a huge thing where we learn the most. I think that's what the teachers talks about is a lot. And there's this saying, um, you only understood something for real if you can teach it to anyone.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So there's a good thing to keep in mind when you do something like that, to always reflect how you acted,
Or
and how you
maybe
be.
this could also how Swadhyay could be done while trip sitting could also mean that you can guide the other to study himself or herself, the trip sitter to study themselves, right?
Say again? No, I don't understand.
Like I, as a trip sitter,
Yeah.
would want to the other person to study himself or themselves.
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
guide you
Okay.
to study yourself while you're tripping rather than studying the outside.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Yeah. This is another
And then
thing.
there
Yeah.
is and then there is Ishwar Pranidhan, which is surrender to the infinite. Uh,
Ooh, yeah. Perfect timing when
imagine.
you're on in Mama's ashram.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
surrendering to
this
the
is what
infinite
this is all
while you're
about, you
tripping.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is. I believe this is one step that will automatically cover all other steps. If you can truly
Right.
surrender, then you are done.
Right.
I this is really profound for me. So I would leave this to the viewers to think of this. How surrendering to the infinite happens as a trip sitter, not as a tripper, but as a trip sitter.
As a trip sitter, it's really interesting to have a view on that.
Yeah. So, bodhisattva.